Hey, good morning. Also, it's time for another video for the DDK transformation series. And today we're going to get started on surviving your stones. So the first section of this course is going to be directed towards lower double-digit Q players. So I'm talking about players that are somewhere in the range of 20Q to 15Q, or maybe even lower. And so by now you should have played a few games of Go, more than a few, and you should have gotten maybe a little bit of a tip as to what sort of normal shapes look like in the game. But you probably don't really know why these things are normal and how exactly do we come to the conclusion that these are the best shapes for an area. But the real answer to that question is that Go is a game about survival. The winner of the game is the player that survives the most stones and territories to the end of the game. So if your stones are captured, that's points for your opponent. If your territories are taken away, that's effective points for your opponent. And what we want to do is we just want to make sure that our stones can survive to the end. And so that's what this video is about. Let's get started. I'm going to place a black stone down here, and we're going to give white a bit of a head start. So on this side of the board, white is sort of dominating the action, but this black stone is quite valuable in the sense that it's not allowing white to expand into this area, but it's just one stone. And so I'll let you take a second to think, what should black do to defend this stone? Feel free to pause the video anytime I ask a question if you want to spend some additional time thinking about it. But in this case, it might be best just to watch the video and get a sense of what strong players consider. So in this case, the thickest move that you can play, the one that's least likely to be cut apart and split apart and damaged, is a one space jump to the side. This creates a small area of strong control next to the wall. What I mean by that is that it's very hard for white to play underneath the black stones because black can cut white off from white's friends. And it kind of looks like white is going to be captured here. You should be able to start to see it. From this point, white can only expand into the wall or try to break out. But black can easily block. And so these stones are likely to die, in my opinion. There's still some things that could happen here, but these stones are very close to death. However, there's a problem for black as well. We've countered one way of white attacking the stones, but another way to attack would simply be to play moves that allow that underneath stone, that base stealing stone that we saw from white here, to escape. And one of those moves might be here. And so now, if black leaves the position alone, playing here, black could block on this side. White escapes. White escapes, and because white has a friend here, there's no stopping white. No matter what, whether you try to capture or escape this way, black is going to lose the liberty race here cleanly, and these stones will be captured and taken off, eventually resulting in a connection that looks something like this. And so because these white undercutting stones can escape, this is a very dangerous situation for black. Black is left in a situation where the group has no eyes. And strong players think about eyes a lot, even before life and death problems start to appear on the board. So one of the problems here is that this group isn't very good at making eyes. This move essentially reduces black to one eye, even if black spends a defensive move. There's really only space for one eye down here. So for instance, if the game goes like this move here reduces the entire shape to one eye. And so now black inevitably, by the end of the game, needs to find a way to get a second eye. So black has to keep adding moves to this group, but there's not a lot of territory associated with this. This is white's easy area to make territory. Black can only get a few points. And so because the black group is what we call weak in some way, it can be attacked and bothered. And this is the first principle to think about when you're playing Go, is your group secure enough to withstand being bothered and attacked from different sides without giving your opponent a bunch of free good moves? So that's a bit of a thinker. And I'll go ahead and show the normal move here, which is this wide 2-space extension. This move has a good follow-up of a slide to the corner, and this would make a 2-eye alive group with some territory, while stealing away white's potential. White had some potential here. For instance, here would make about 12 points in the corner. And then here, if white just plays the simplest move, this is only about 6 points. So black gained about 3 to 4 points here and reduced white by about 6. So this is a 9-point swing, and it gives the group a lot of stability. Now, this is kind of important. So this move is a little bit better than this move, because this move gives 4 spaces of eye space, whereas this move really only gives 2. We're not counting these borders, right? If white plays on your border, you have to respond in order to keep this eye point. And when white plays on the other border, these are not necessarily great moves for white, but you have to respond. And you can see that only these 2 spaces that I'm covering with my finger became eye space. Whereas in this case, if you do the same thing, the eye space is much cleaner for black, right? And so you have 4 spaces of eye space. And so black is getting more, white is getting less naturally because black is taking up more space. White must necessarily be taking up less space. And the eye situation is a bit better. And my question to you is, after white plays this move, is black going to be okay, or does black need to add another move? And so we'll review that in the next video. I want to leave you with this question for now. But basically the idea here is, when you have a single stone, you need to add a friend to help it get stronger as soon as your opponent starts to play nearby. So single stones need to make what's called a base. And bases are a very important part of Go. It's basically something that should be automatic, reflexive in your games. Your stone comes under attack. Can you make a base? Well, go ahead and make one. Any kind of base is good enough for me for now. So this base or this base. But taking up more space with your base is often better. And so this brings us to our introductory chapter, which is play stones near your friends to get stronger. Stones can't possibly have enough friends in Go. The more you grow, the better you're doing in the game. So each group that you make should grow until it doesn't need to grow anymore to feel safe, and then you can focus on taking territory. The order is really important: safety first, and then territory. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.